I just don't think anyone wants to hear. Here's a reality with Jimmy and Kyle specifically, like any sort of excuse, even though factually Jimmy's 100% correct. Not only was he not practicing with the team, he wasn't around. I just think you got to wear it on the chin. You've made $100+ million. You've played in a lot of these games. Just be like, I was terrible. I got to get better. We've been through the wars together. We'll get back. To me, the thing, like my first week with these guys, if I was a PR campaign or is it Mike and Billy, his brothers, Jimmy and Billy's
managers?
Whatever his brothers / managers are. My number one recommendation, like Jimmy, everyone was on your side. They're going to pivot away from it. Just take this one on the chin. Just be like, I sucked. I killed us. Great job by the defense. I've been through the wars with these boys. Me and Kyle will get it figured out. That first line, that one's a tough sell for me, guy. That one, I don't think you can say that. Not after that. Like, it's not your first week with these guys. You've played a million fucking games with Debo and Kittle. Hell, you played an entire season with Juwan Jennings. You played multiple with Brandon Ayuk. Now, if you want to say a lot of new pieces of the offensive line, I guess you could say that, but no one wants to hear the quarterback. This is a kind of a unique situation where factually he's correct, but kind of not, right? The only thing would have been worse, like I've been injured, just getting my rhythm back. Like we get it, Jimmy.
Yeah, it'd be like if Trey Lance had said after the Bears game, guys, I've only played 17 games of organized football as the starting quarterback above a high school level, whatever I made that number up, but whatever that number is. So, I've never played in rain before. I played indoors in college. You guys may not know that. So I'm just adjusting to torrential downpours.
That's a tough look. One thing I expect, honestly, I thought Trey's response out of Chicago, I thought he handled it pretty well after the embarrassing loss of just, he kind of took it. I don't love that out of Jimmy. I don't love that out of my quarterback when they just fucking wear it all, even if some of it's bullshit. It's just part of the gig. I'd say that's why you make 25, but you make 6.5. And with bonuses and your playing time, as long as you stay healthy, probably hit.
Could have made an extra 150 today, whatever the number was. I mean, career, we're talking about a guy that was, last year 68% completion. The year before that, 67. The year before that, 69. So you think you're getting a high 60s percentage passer. You think you're getting 20 to 27 touchdowns, and you're getting 12 to 13, 11, probably 13 interceptions and 17 at least other times where you hold your breath and your heart jumps out of your chest because you think he's about to throw a pick. That it's a reminder that what you don't get, this is why you want a high-end talented quarterback, is because what you don't get with some of the risk with Garoppolo is the playmaking that comes with it. When you have a more talented player, and he cannot help you when things aren't going well in the way that Russell helped the Broncos today when things were not going well. He cannot bail out his coach.
He's the poor man's Kirk Cousins that way.
And every coach really, for the most part, even Andy Reid needs a quarterback that can bail him out, and he has one.
Well, think about this. Andy Reid was always known as like I guess Phil Mickelson, he won like 6 majors, but before he won, it was like, the best coach to never win a Super Bowl. And it was always like, is Andy ever going to win a Super Bowl? Alex Smith, it was clear he probably never was. And Patrick Mahomes took his career to a whole nother level. And I think everyone's like, a Hall of Famer now, one of the best coaches we've ever seen. He's been coaching for 22 years. He's only had this guy for 5, right? It just shows you like how important it is. I think sometimes it's just hard when you have we just haven't watched him play. His floor is just so low. And, the poor man's Kirk Cousins, like, say this about Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football. When he's off, it looks like bad Jimmy. It's atrocious. But he does give you the high end. You see the highlights today, making game-winning touchdowns, like throws touchdowns, like in the 30s, So it's like, if you're Minnesota, you're like, yeah, ideally, would we like one of the top 10 guys? Of course. But we're going to live with this guy. His low moments, we can win 11 games with a guy if he throws 37 touchdowns. Okay, he throws 13 picks. Like, has Jimmy got 15 picks and 20 touchdowns? And to me, that's on the Kyle thing of like meshing it out. They have way too much talent. They just do, guy. I mean, Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle. I'm sorry. Their running backs are fine. Ideally, you wish, Mitchell was still around, not injured, and obviously Ty Davis Price just add another physical back. Even though Mason had a pretty good run, you got to figure out how to utilize these guys. If it just comes to just the quick hit, just run quick outs and slants, it felt like they kept getting too aggressive trying to get downfield. Like, Kyle, they can't block anybody. And then Jimmy is free. He's not being accurate tonight. Why not run some quick routes? Non the screen. Sometimes my issue with the play calling, and I understand, like, listen, I do get where people are coming from on the Trey thing. I think Kyle just gets in a rhythm and he just gets stuck on something. Like, clearly he just gets obsessed with these little screens. Now, Debo has taken a screen 80 yards multiple times, right? 80 yards, 60 yards, 50 yards. We've seen it. But it's like, clearly, Kyle, this isn't really working tonight. You know, you see it a lot in college. Like, to me, it's rare. I watched a lot of NFL football today. You don't see people just hammer that screen over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like the Niners, I didn't keep a tab, but I attempted it at minimum 3 times today, maybe more. Because he airmailed him twice on the screen.
Twice. One he had not Randy Gregory. Chubb was right there and he tried. I thought maybe Chubb bothered the throw, but whatever. I mean, we could nitpick one throw. Even if we took that throw out, there were plenty of other misses.
But if you're the Broncos coaching staff, you're looking for that play. Because didn't it feel like their DBs were like, there it is, and they all like went up? Like, it's like one of the Niners staples, which I just, you're not hitting it against a team that, I think the Broncos defense is really good. They are flying around, hitting people. They had a lot of similarities to the Niners in terms of their team speed, their tackling, their physicality. If I'm a Bronco fan, I'm a little worried that my quarterback and my coach got problems. I'd be pretty fired. My defense looks legit, right?
If I was a Broncos fan, I'd be pretty proud of them. You know, they got booed all night long and still found a way to win despite the adversity, despite me counting down the play clock for them while my quarterback's trying to communicate with the rest of his offense.
But I'm just talking about, like, you can think your offense is a joke and think like, well, at least our defense is sweet.
Yeah.
And they were bringing it. And to me, when you're bringing it and you have that team speed, I think that play doesn't work against elite team speed. What is that play not going to work against? The 49ers. Why? Their DBs all tackle and their linebackers can run. Even Flanagan, like, he comes in immediately. He moves at their pace. Yeah. So it's like that play works against, like, the Bears last year. That play's not working against this defense. Like, what a couple plays happened, some like rub routes, some crossing routes, like that Jennings play. Like, why didn't they try a couple of those? It's like 2 steps and go. The like 5 steps.
You know about the catch Jennings made or the one he did not make?
The bobbled.
The bobbled, yeah.
Think about the made one. At least it was a relatively quick hitter.
I thought it was going to be a pick 6.
Same.
I think everybody did. I think Tirico said it. Collinsworth said it. When the ball left his hands, I thought that has no chance. I forgot he missed Ayuk. They got Ayuk open. It was a tough throw, but Ayuk got open down the field in the third quarter.
Not the skip ball across.
No. That was actually earlier in the game. It was earlier. It was in the first half. So he had the Debo down the sideline where Debo, you know, it's like you can't be greedy with Jimmy. You just take Debo has to turn and backpedal instead of catch it in stride and run down the sideline for a touchdown. But
no one has an issue like that.
Let me just say this real quick. I think this whatever we said about Kyle, I think it's fair. I do think at the end of the day, he did the bare minimum required to win the game, and Garoppolo missed some of the key throws that he gave him.
That's my point. So when you're in a game where Garoppolo is playing really shitty and looks overwhelmed, and the offensive line's overwhelmed, I have a hard time just trying to do the bare minimum. And maybe he'd say, because I think the football guy pushback that fans and ourselves and just people watching it on our couch would say, they would come at you, be like, an interception, a fumble 6, we lose. Like, yeah, but if you just hold on for dear life, there's potential that rope breaks and you fall. And that's what ended up happening, because you were just holding on for dear life, hoping that 10 would get you across the finish line. And it's just, your defense cannot play any better. Like, it's not quite, I mean, I don't know who could historically. The 01 Ravens, the 85 Bears, like, what, any team in any level, high school, college, or pro, if I say 9 points to the defense, there's not a coach in the history of the sport, right, that wouldn't say yes before the game. In the history of the sport, any game ever. I include Pee-wees too, even if your offense is terrible. And I do think when you get a couple of moments, you're like, especially a couple times midfield, I understand backed up, but that's what's weird. Backed up, then he does that crazy play. It just, his rhyme or reason tonight, once his quarterback's establishing, is really off.
But that's what happened. Like, the Broncos take the lead. Garoppolo hits a couple of throws. You think, all right, we've seen Garoppolo lead the team down the field to take the lead again, and then boom, interception. You know, I mean, we've just seen it before.
And then what happens? Boom. And then the Niners get the ball back.
Nobody gets the ball back after punting with like 207 more. That wasn't 207. It might have been 227. Than the 49ers.
No, I think the game ended on Jeff Wilson's fumble. Yeah, the pick was a 207. Then they got to stop 2 minutes.
Oh, that's right. They got to stop at 2 minutes. Then they used that. Yeah, so it was under. It was whatever it was. I didn't write down.
They got the ball back at like 140.
You understand what I'm saying? Nobody gets the ball back punting in a situation where the other team could just end the game more than that group of guys because they play good defense against the run. I think that's probably.
Well, do you think it was a go-to if you were the Broncos run against what you were watching?
Yeah, especially because you had the 2 minute. See, you could argue they got 3 timeouts and the 2 minute warning. We should throw the ball.
But when you're playing, see, this is my thing.
That's where Rosberg steps in and goes, "We got to run here."
But that's where, to me, the analytic people always want to be aggressive and go for it. I do think you always have to factor in your opponent. The Niners' offense had been atrocious.
Yeah,
had been
part of the reason the Broncos punted earlier in the game, right? 4th and 1.
I think just run 3 times, punt it, just Jimmy beat us. Now, I think the analytical elite would be like, well, you're only up 1 point, so they actually don't need to go the entire field, right? Tirico was like, they just need to get to the 35. I was like, well, Robbie Gould isn't exactly McManus.
Well, but you are in Denver.
Robbie's
kick before had the, NBC does the thing. I think it said, how far did he hit it from? Was it 40 or 50? It had one of those like good from 53, I think, or something like that.
Where do you think they would have attempted? Obviously, they didn't even get close.
I feel
55.
55 was going to be my number.
Yeah.
So, what is that? 55 minus 10 is 45 minus 7 to 38.
Yeah, so right in that vicinity, 35, 38.